The two armies were now on a direct collision course. The Russians knew of the armor-led force bearing down on them and were ready to meet and destroy the threat. The Germans, however, were not aware of the strong enemy concentration of tanks that was facing them. The Russians had managed to place around 850 of their tanks in the surrounding area. The Germans had around 300 usable tanks advancing directly in the battle zone, with a further 230 fighting to their left. Hoth felt that he had inflicted serious losses on the Russians and was expecting a quick victory that would open the way for a rapid advance.
Welcome to Prokhorovka, my latest Men of War video, and in this one I'm playing as the Germans, and as the video has just provided details, I won't go too in depth about the nature of this battle, but it was one of the largest tank battles in military history, and essentially it was an ambush. The Soviets attacked the Germans ahead of the German assault on the town of Prokhorovka. So in this video, like I say, I'm playing as the Germans, and I'm just going to provide a bit of a tactical overview of how I intend to play this battle out. So my force is here on the southern side of the map. Got a pretty formidable force, many tanks and lots of infantry and artillery backing them up. Mostly Tigers and Panzers, medium tanks. I haven't got any King Tigers or Jag Tigers because from what I've read they weren't involved in the battle, and I've tried to be a little bit more historically accurate with this one. So this area here is going to be the main area of the battle, and that's a sort of small village, a kind of hamlet really, and that's where I'm going to try and hold. But I'm also going to send a force on this eastern flank to try and set up a bit of a buffer zone on that side of the river, and I'm going to try and prevent the Russians from kind of flanking me from that side of the map. The Soviet force is going to come from the north, and this is essentially their first wave. There's going to be many waves of Soviet tanks coming in. Such, I think, was the case during the actual battle. They kind of came in waves. So this is the first force. So they're going to try and attack the town, and they're going to try and flank across the river. And a further Soviet force is going to move along on the eastern side of the map and try and flank me from that side. So I've got to try and hold my ground. But this area here, this circle, is going to be the main area of the battle, and this is certainly where I'm going to focus most of my forces. But I may have to do a lot of rethinking as the battle plays out, because as we all know, when it comes to war, planning is the first thing that goes out the window. So this is my force, lots of medium tanks, lots of tank destroyers as well, Nashorns, Marders, a couple of Ferdinands, lots of half-tracks, lots of infantry involved in this. But the Tigers are the main sort of unit I've got, and my most sort of reliable, costly asset, I guess. I need to look after the Tigers. I've got about 20 of them, and I'm going to try and anticipate the Russian tanks and set up a position before they come and try and basically defend my ground. But let's see how it plays out. So the Soviets are moving in, but I'm in position, so I'm just going to wait for them to get to me and try and hold my ground against their first attack. Sort of in range now, can start to target them. Here we go. Got that Ferdinand there on the western side of the map. It's a good position, long range gun. My artillery's starting to open up as well. There's some tanks on the eastern side of the town, on the other side of the river, and they're going to provide some supports. Infantry's moving in. Just going to change the tank position there. Tiger's taking hits. So the Russians have mostly got T-34s. Ouch. Okay, Ferdinand's down. Got tracks damaged. Hopefully that's all that's going to happen. Got this Marder on the extreme western flank, hiding in a bush. Nice. So my tank destroyers are proving very effective here, getting quite a few kills, long range. I've not even seen the T-34s yet. It looks like the Soviets are starting to gain access into the town now. They're sneaking in down the road, so I need to prevent that. I need to put more tanks on the road. my artillery's pounding the Soviet forces as they're trying to move into the town on the northern flank. Their infantry's starting to creep in though, but my infantry's ready for them. Tigers providing long shots there, 88mm, effective range. Shells just bouncing off that Tiger's frontal armour. The Russian force mostly consists of T-34s, T-70s, the odd KV-1. Flamer. T-34s moving in with a flamethrower. So got that tank, but he took out a lot of infantry with that flamethrower. Burning T-34s there. Got this Panzer Mark III. Keeping back for now, but able to provide some long shot cover. Lots of smouldering wrecks. So I've got this light mobile artillery piece here, I'm not sure what it's called, it's quite effective. And a couple of Tigers. That Ferdinand's still in the fight on the left there. Tracks damage, but he's still very much capable. I'd say we've seen the last of those Soviet tanks. That wave has been utterly defeated. I'm happy with that. It looks like we've got more coming in on the east flank now. The second wave. So we've got a second wave coming in on that right flank. So I need to propel that, otherwise I'm in trouble. Rolling in a Nashorn, trying to engage them on the roadside. Good cover, using the hill as cover there. Better range than the T-34s, should be able to cause a lot of damage. Just picking them off one by one. Oh, incoming rounds. So I need to back this Nashorn up. Got a couple of Panzers, light tanks. Panzer's down. Nashorn's still in the fight. Nashorn's taking hits. Ah, damn it. Nashorn's down. More Panzers. Losing tanks here. Lost a couple of Panzers and that Nashorn. Overwhelming Soviet numbers coming in on this east flank. Nashorn got a few kills but couldn't hold them off. So I've got one more tank here. I need to roll more reinforcements in. I'm going to have to use some artillery here, some rockets. Those rockets aren't going to do much. I need to move that Panzer back, otherwise he's going to get killed. That's what I got. I've got some half tracks here, they're pretty vulnerable. I may as well move this light tank forwards, maybe get some infantry kills. Boom! Okay, he lasted the grand total of 30 seconds. These half tracks are now very vulnerable. I need to pull those guys back. This is definitely my Achilles heel at the moment, the eastern flank. Most of my forces are focusing on the left flank. So I need to sort this out. So I'm rolling in another Nashorn. More rocket strikes, trying to keep them at bay. Opening up here, massive salvo.
Feindpanzer voraus!
So that Nashorn didn't last too long. There's too many T-34s flanking on both sides there. Vulnerable position for the tank. So I'm going to have to try and do some flanking of my own here, moving these Tigers in to try and move on the other side of the river. Tigers are taking hits here. Lost a Tiger. Moving one forwards. I'm going to try and meet them head on. There we go. That's how it's done. Good night. So that Tiger managed to kill a vast number of T-34s there, at least 3 or 4, but a flamer killed the crew. So there were no survivors in that confrontation. So just absolutely pounding them with rockets, and I think that rocket strikes pretty much finished off that Soviet attack. So the combined strength of rockets, salvos and Tigers managed to hold the ground there. More Tigers down. Whoa, that was an intense battle, but I managed to hold off against 2 waves of Soviet attack. I just finished that guy off. So just doing a bit of finishing off here, just picking off the survivors. I've got room to breathe now, so I can relax and just have a bit of an investigation, really. So I'm just trying to finish off those T-34s. I don't want them firing long shots at me, getting the odd fluky kill. Missing. Hasn't got the best gun, this tank. So the amount of craters around here just goes to show how intense that battle was. My rocket salvos pretty much saved the day, I must say. The Tigers were doing a good job, but they were so outnumbered. So just tiny pockets of Soviet forces left. Nothing to worry about now. So let's just see how I'm doing for resources. Looking good. I'm not sure how many tanks I lost there. Probably around 5 or 6. Infantry, who knows. They did get quite intensely involved in the fight around here. There we go. Lots of bodies. I lost quite a few infantry, I must say. And that's just the beginning of the battle. I think the Soviets are going to hit me big time later in the day. So it's the night time, and I've done a bit of re-manoeuvres and moved some tanks forwards. But essentially, I'm just waiting. Still pounding away with the artillery. So here we go again. A fresh new wave of Soviet forces moving in the middle of the night. more tanks into the town itself this time, more Tigers, more Ferdinands, using the buildings as cover.
Das Gerede einstellen! Macht euch kampfbereit! Das Gerede einstellen! Macht euch kampfbereit! Feuer schon! Jedes Ziel
Just try and pick up as many as I can. Still got that Ferdinand on the west flank. Picking off those T-70s. So many of them, vast wave moving in.
Sprung auf, los, los!
Zielt auf die Vorrücken! Zum Henker!
Lots of infantry moving in, trying to support my tanks. This is just a huge clash of two armies now. Massive wave of Soviets moving in, second wave coming in there. This is a real test. The infantry are going to have to really dig in deep.
Durch die Fenster! Zünden!
So I just need to move this turret around and try and hit that T-34 on the other side of the river. He's moving up. Dangerous position, so I'm just going to try and pick him off. There we go. So that Tiger's in a good position now, he can overlook the whole river. See the T-34s as they come over that hill, over the ridge. Oh, there's huge waves coming in. I'm going to have to start using my artillery here. I'm going to have to start pounding that Soviet advance, because my tanks aren't going to be able to hold against that. So these guys are right in the thick of it. Massive Soviet armour presence now. Come off at long range. Tiger crews here doing a good job. Tiger's finally down. It held its ground. So really starting to lose tanks now. But I think we've created a bit of a bottleneck. I don't think the Soviets are able to push through. I think my artillery is pounding them, and the Soviets haven't got anywhere to go. They can't move forward. So later in the evening, that Soviet attack kind of petered out. So I'm moving in the last remnants of my force. I lost about a third of my units there. So I'm kind of amalgamating my units, focusing on the town itself now. I'm abandoning the eastern side of the river. I'm just going to fall back on the town itself. The German attack on Prokhorovka has essentially been postponed. So these guys are like a vanguard force, just hoping to hold back the Soviet numbers, allowing my main army to disappear into the night, so to speak. So I've just got to try and hold my ground. So the Soviets weren't able to utterly defeat me, but my army was diminished to the point where I can't really proceed on into the assault. gearing up now for the final showdown. Ferdinand's got a good position there, using a destroyed tank as cover. That's the final push from the Soviets. I'm going to just try and engage as many of them as I can, and then pull back and retreat. Neither side has really won this battle. The Soviets were unable to entirely defeat me, but I'm no longer in a position where I can proceed. That's exactly how the real battle's played out.
Jawohl, einsatzbereit! Los, los!
Okay, here we go. As many of them as I can. So I've got two Ferdinands up front with a Tiger. Should be able to pick many of them off. But I'm getting flanked from the eastern side of the river, which I was expecting. Armadas engaging. Scary looking sight there. Vast wave of T-34s moving in on that eastern side, and it looks like I'm about to get overwhelmed. I just need to pick off as many of them as I can. So using my rocket salvos again, just trying to keep the horde at bay. Whirlwind's opening up. Didn't last long. Not really the right unit for this battle, but they tried. Tigers still in the fight. Jesus, I'm getting absolutely overwhelmed now. I've lost track of how many tanks I've got left. Falling back on all sides. I'm starting to lose control of the field now. Got these Marders in a good position. Looks like the third man's finally down. They held their ground well, but they're now out of the game. One more third man's. And really it's falling back to my artillery. Down. I'm retreating that Marder, pulling back. So I'm now just fully retreating. This Tiger. All my remaining forces, I'm just going to pull back, retreat, call it a day. Tiger's been overwhelmed. It really is game over now. This is my last main tank. He's down. Main gun damaged. He's essentially out of the game. So that's it. I'm gonna fall back. Germans have done all they could today. Managed to caused a lot of damage against the Soviet assaults, made them work for it, but essentially it's time to move out. So I've got one remaining tank, the Marder. Gonna try and hold my ground gallantly. Picking off T-34s still. And once this guy's down, I'll call it a day. So this is me signing off. Hope you've enjoyed the battle. And I'm out.